Negotiators from nearly 200 countries in South Korea are working to expedite negotiations for a legally binding treaty on global plastic pollution by the end of the week. During the fifth and final United Nations Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee meeting in Busan, several delegates expressed frustration over the slow pace of discussions. They highlighted disagreements regarding the regulation of plastic products and hazardous chemicals, the management of primary polymer supplies, and the establishment of a financial mechanism to assist developing countries in implementing the treaty. In southern India, scuba divers are making efforts to clean plastic waste from the water, and over the years, they've collected tons of it.
Off the coast of Chennai, India, scuba diver Aravind and his 9-year-old daughter are getting ready for a different kind of dive. Their mission isn't just to observe marine life, but to collect plastic.
There are beautiful fish down there and basically the same amount of plastic. That made me realize that I needed to help bring it up.
The duo says they have collected thousands of kilograms of plastic over the years in the water and along the shore, but it's not enough to reduce the massive amounts of trash.
Despite our efforts, the yellow bags we bring from home always end up full of plastic. The only way to end this pollution is to stop it from being created.
How to go about that is being discussed by negotiators from more than 175 countries in Busan, South Korea. Their goal? To agree on a legally binding global treaty to end plastic pollution. After 2 years of conferences, the delegates still can't agree on whether the treaty should include directives that tackle the problem at source.
The problem is that we're producing and using too much plastic, and that is completely overwhelming all of our efforts around waste management and cleanups globally. And if we don't have a kind of common understanding that that is the problem we're trying to solve, it's very difficult to find common solutions.
Another sticking point is what sort of blanket rules can be agreed upon internationally concerning the way products are designed and what type of plastics can be used in them. At the moment, there are no directives at a global level. It's more of a patchwork of national legislation.
So because plastics is a completely international thing, we see plastics being traded globally, but also polluting globally. One of the questions is, should we agree at the global level about certain products that should be completely removed?
Finding a way to overcome these hurdles is vital, because once plastic finds its way into our ecosystems, it can stay there for hundreds of years, slowly breaking down into smaller fragments.
We're now finding microplastics in our bodies. We're finding them on Mount Everest. Microplastics are literally everywhere. And our ability to solve some of these problems is really fundamental for what the future looks like for the next generations.
Negotiators have until Sunday to come to an agreement. Only then will these shores in Chennai have a chance to become plastic-free again.
Well, for more, we can now talk to Yuyun Ismawati. She's the co-chair of the International Pollutants Elimination Network. That's a group of global environmental organizations lobbying against the production, use, and disposal of toxic chemicals. She joins me from Busan in South Korea. Welcome to the program. Tell us, why does the world need a global plastics treaty?
Thank you, Terry. Greetings from Busan. The world needs global plastic treaty because we have a global crisis and we need to protect our health. And this is the mandate that have agreed by almost 200 countries 2 years ago, that the global crisis have to be answered by the international legally binding treaty. Otherwise, the energy and the plastic production will keep increasing and cost our health and our future.
You say nearly 200 countries have agreed. Indeed, most agree there is a problem with plastics, but some countries don't want to put caps on plastic production. Why?
Yeah, because some countries do not want to decrease or reduce their profits. In the last 50 years, they've been profiting from the increased production of oil and gas. And now, as the resources declining and depleting, and the restrictions from the agreement of climate, crude oil to chemicals are becoming the new trend.
Now, many lobbyists for the plastics industry are attending those talks in Busan in South Korea. What role are they playing in the discussions there?
Yes, indeed, it's an interesting interventions and involvement of the oil producers, but they are also coming from oil states mainly. And most of these oil states or oil-producing countries are the strongest opponents of these global agreements. They try as much as possible to refuse any good agreement or make a good deal. Even they want to limit the scope of this treaty, narrow it down to only single-use plastic products.
Right. Plastics, of course, being made from petrochemicals. The COP29 climate summit in Baku ended in a deal that failed to satisfy the demands of climate activists and emerging countries. Should we expect anything different from the negotiations taking place there in South Korea on plastics?
Unfortunately, the recent draft that we receive showing a very pathetic draft. We are so devastated and disappointed to see the recent draft that will be discussed tomorrow. But from that draft that just released by the chair this afternoon, just half an hour ago, we don't see any ambitious target at all for them to meet their mandate. And what we see is just business as usual.
Yuyun, thank you very much for speaking with us. That was Yuyun Ismawati from the International Pollutants Elimination Network, speaking to us from Busan.
Thank you, Terry.